All right, so today's date is 9/12, Monday. So we're going to write today's date, 9-12-22. I remind you to check on Canvas to see what you're missing. It'll be red, bold, missing. If you look on Aries, it will not say missing, but it'll be zeros. So if you have a 0, go back on Canvas and do it. Mean. Have we done mean before in your other grades? You've done it? Good.
Yeah, it confuses me every single time because I always forget about it, and then whenever I go into the math test, I forget how to do it.
Terrible. We're going to go over it today. Mean. Don't be mean. Mean is how you get your grade. Your teachers do the mean to figure out what your grade is.
What's mean?
Mean, another word for mean is average. What is your average grade? So mean is your average, okay? If I take all your grades, you got a 7, an 8, a 10, a 10, a 10, a 9 on your homework, and I add them all up and I divide by however many homework assignments we have, that will give me an average grade, your mean grade. That's how your grades are calculated. They add them all up and then they divide by how many assignments there were. All right, so there's 2 steps to doing mean. Step 1. Does anybody know what the first step is for mean?
Add up all the numbers.
Perfect.
Oh, wait, I remember this.
Add, so this is a number 1.
Is it GPA? Does it reflect that?
Yes, as well as GPA. So for those of you who are an Avid and you've done your GPA, this is how you...
Last year, but we haven't done it this year.
All right. So this is how you also find the GPA. Okay, so step number 1 is add all the numbers, okay? Step number 1 is just add all the numbers. That's pretty easy, straightforward. Step number 2, who remembers what step number 2 is? Yeah, exactly. Kids get confused. Sometimes they think they have to just divide by 2. And it's like, no, it's divide by how many numbers you have. So if you have 5 numbers, you divide by 5. If you have 10 numbers, you divide by 10. If you have 2 numbers, you divide by 2. But it's divide by how many numbers you have. Carolina, you feel free to move back. We don't need our iPads anymore, especially if you're straining your neck. No need to suffer. All right, and that's it. That will give you your average, your mean. Just 2 steps. Step 1, add all the numbers. Step 2, divide. That's it.
Yeah,
Or with your GPA. All right, well, let's try it out here. So let's say I have the numbers 5, 10, 12, 8, and 30. Whoa, 30. So these are your test results. You have a 5, a 10, a 12, 8, and 30. So you scored a lot on the last test, let's say. So the question is, what is the mean? What is the mean? So what's our first step? Add. Does anybody know what the fancy word for add? The definition is the sum. Oh, I already said it. Sum. So it's called sum. Sum is the answer to an addition problem. So when you add up all the numbers, it's called the sum. It's called the sum. So first step is to add. Your answer is called the sum. It's a fancy word for adding. All right, what'd you guys get when you added them?
65.
All right, cool. Now some kids think that's my answer.
No, you have to divide.
You have to divide. But some kids say, oh yeah, the mean is 65. One thing you have to remember is for mean, your answer has to look like one of these answers. Okay, it has to look like this. 65 is nowhere like any of these numbers, right? So you know you're not done. So the second thing is to divide. Now what am I going to divide by? By 5. Why 5?
Because that's how much numbers there are.
Yeah, there's 5 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you divide by 5. 65 divided by 5. So therefore my mean is equal to 13.
I can do the thing without one division.
You gotta do it. And so does 13 look like these numbers that are here? Yeah. It doesn't have to be exactly one of those numbers, but it has to like fit in those numbers. Does 13 fit in those numbers? Yeah. You have some small numbers, 10, 12, and then a really big number over here. So that's mean. That's how we calculate your grades, your GPA. Sometimes when you get this on the math test, they'll give you a calculator, which is pretty cool because you can add up all the numbers. All right. It's so easy. All right, what if I give you the numbers 5, 6, 4, 10, and 5, and I ask you, what is the mean?
5, 6, what?
4 and 10 and 5. 5, 6, 4, 10, 5. 5, 6, 4, 10, and 5.
30.
So what's our sum?
30. No.
30. Is that my answer?
No.
No.
You divide by 5. 6.
No. The answer is 6, but I have to divide by 5. So I got confused on what number to write down. So your mean equals 6. We okay? Super easy, right? All right, let's make it harder. How do I make this harder? I just give you bigger numbers.
Got more numbers too.
And more numbers. 60, 60, 70, 65, 71, and 79. 60, 60, 70, 65, 71, 79.
Do you even know the answer?
Yes, because I have the notes from you last year. So what's the first thing you have to do? Add. And I know you're not done adding, so let's go. Don't wait for other people to add for you. It's adding. Just add them. You can, yeah, you can add 2 in your head. No,
405? 405.
I don't know.
405.
4 and 5? That's what I heard.
405.
The freeway?
Oh yeah, the freeway. It's nearby.
Yeah, it's the closest freeway we have. Take the 405 to go to LAX. Practice adding. Good old addition. Woo! So what do we call the 405?
Not your answer.
The sum. Sum means the answer to an addition problem. Here's a really long addition problem, sum. So now we have to divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So take 405 and divide it by 6. Could our mean be a decimal? Yeah. So your mean is 67.5. What? 67.5 when you divide. Long division. Yeah, I mean, all you do is add and divide. That's it. Now, if you need your multiplication table out to help you divide, go for it.
The most fun thing to do though.
What? Long division?
It's not the most fun, but it's easy.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a positive challenge. Alright. We need a tiny worksheet for us. Should be an extra one in there. Can we give her one, please? Thank you, Emily. Alright, here we go. Here's what we're going to do. So, we're going to glue this in later. So if I glue it in, I have room to show my work. Some of you can probably add some of this in your head and divide in your head. So for the first one, here are my numbers. So you can show your work in your notebook. So does everybody know the trick of getting tens to count? Yeah. Right? So you look at your numbers. This will help you add. You look at your numbers that I give you, and instead of adding them like in order, you try to make pairs of 10. Yeah, and that's an easier way to add. But you have to know what makes 10 though. So what makes 10 here? 4 and 6, right? That's the first one I heard. And then 8 and 2 make a 10, right? So 4 plus 6, I would hope that as a 7th grader, if I ask you, hey, what's 4 plus 6? You go 10 like that, right? And then, oh, hey, what's 8 plus 2? 10. Like that, right? So your brain should process that quickly. So this is 10 plus 10, which is 20. And then it tells you to divide by 4. So what's 20 divided by 4?
5.
So the mean is 5.
Yay.
So this worksheet like makes you like write everything down. Like, okay, what's the sum? What am I dividing by? Do it. All right. So is there any 10s I can make in number 2?
Yes.
6 and 4. You can cross them out. 6 plus 4 is 10, 12, 13, 14. 14 plus 4, 18. All right. And then it already fills it out. 18 divided by 6, right? They already counted the numbers for you. What's 18 divided by 6? 3. David, go ahead and take it out, silence it, and then be done with it. All right, ready? All right, go. Okay, so second part, because we gotta, move on to two. All right. So, stop. Okay, second part, median. What is it?
I forgot what it is, but I did it on Alex.
We will eventually. I have to check. Just got an email about it. All right, median. Does anybody know what median is?
Average.
Is it the middle?
It's also average.
Yeah, like the middle.
It's not. Can't be the same thing as average.
Oh, the most likely.
Normal.
Middle number. But what do you have to do first?
You have to put them all in order.
Very good, Ariel.
There you go. Oh, by which number is like the greatest?
Okay. It is the middle number when the numbers are in order. What's the number one mistake kids do? They don't put them in order. Okay? They have to put them in order. People, it's the easiest one to do for the most part. Way easier than mean, but the number one mistake is that kids don't put them in order, so everything is wrong. So step one.
Put the numbers in order.
Yes. Order the numbers from least to greatest, which is the smallest number to the biggest number. Smallest number to the biggest number. In math, we call it least to greatest. Okay? So basically, put them in order. All right. Step 2. Cross out, I don't know how to say this, from each end. Maybe it doesn't make sense right now, but once we do it, it'll make sense. So step 1, order the numbers from least to greatest. And step 2, cross out from each end. So you cross out from the smallest, the biggest, smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest, until you have one right in the middle.
What if it's an even number, like 8?
Yes, if we have 2 in the middle, we do something special. Either I have time to show that to you today, if not tomorrow.
I forgot. Wait, no, I don't know.
No. Isaac, what are you doing with your iPad?
Add it. Oh, you
Then go back in. Add it in the bottom.
nobody.
All right. 5, 10, 8, 12, and 30. Okay? Here are our numbers. 5, 10, 8, 12, and 30. Now, what do kids do? Kids are like, oh, just, what's the number in the middle? 8. But that's not your answer. That would be the wrong answer. Because what's the first thing we have to do? Put them in order. So what's our smallest number?
5.
Okay, well, it's already there. 5, then 8, then
10, 12, 13.
all right. And I always like to count to make sure I wrote all of them down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So you put them in order. And all you do is cross out from each end. So from this end, this end. This end, this end. What's the number in the middle? That is what we call the median. That's it. Median, like medium. That's it.
Wow.
It's one of the easy. It does get a little bit hard when there's 2 numbers. A little bit hard. But all you have to do is put them in order, and then cross them out, and that's it. I think a lot easier than what we just did, the mean, because there's no adding and there's no dividing for the most part. All right. Write down these numbers. 15, 7, 16.
15, 7. Wait, 15, 7.
Okay, I wrote them down. It's okay. Okay, it's okay. 16, 4, 9, 10, and 7. I'll repeat. 15, 7, 16, 4, 9, 10, and 7. Okay, put them in order.
4, 9.
Hey, don't spoil it. Oh yeah, I figured that out by myself. I didn't.
No.
So you cross them out. 1.
Wait.
Yes. So what's our smallest number? 4, then 7, then 7,
Wait, there's another set. Oh yeah.
9, 10, 15, 16. And then count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers to start with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because then sometimes kids will skip a number.
Yeah, because
Okay.
like 13 or something.
Yeah.
Huge number and you don't really.
Exactly. The more numbers, the more likely you are to miss one. So
4 numbers and it's gonna be 2 in the middle.
correct. Which if probably I'll have time tomorrow to like slowly go over that instead of rushing it right now. Front, back, circle. Median, 9. Now, remember, what's the first thing we learned? The first thing we learned was mean, which is to add and divide by however many numbers you have. The second thing we do now is your median, which means they're find the number in the middle when you put them in order. If I were to make the mistake and not put them in order, it would be 4, right? But the number in the middle is not 4. But again, what's the number one mistake kids do? Is they don't put them in order and they think they're done. No. It's an easy one. Okay. There are going to be 6 minutes left in class. What I'm going to do in these last 6 minutes is I'm going to go through some of your grades and tell you something about them. Ow. But I'm going to pass out the homework. Well,
Can you click on the greens on the map?
I thought you forgot about them.
Just the greens, only the greens, not the reds.
I did that already.
I did that.
No, but the ones with this map test. You haven't done it of this map test that we just said we did.
Yeah, I did. You did? And I said like, oh, some of you are like,
I don't know what I
Oh wait. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I tried.
I want to pass out the homework.
Me.
I'm always done.
Next time.
Kevin's on
Okay, Joseph, stop that. Crystal, did you finish the mean?
I feel like I could